Hello, people that listen to us. We're going to talk about some more good news, which is that top Senate Democrats have all vowed to use their power and their majority to legalize marijuana federally at some point and before the end of the year of 2021. So, as we all know, when Mitch McConnell was Senate Majority Leader, he blocked any talk of weed. He heard the word weed and he was like, no, stop. We're not even going to talk about it. I hate weed. Don't even, no. And what he probably liked about it was that black people are locked up for years for having a tiny amount of weed all the time. And Mitch McConnell, that gets him off because he's sadistic. So another important part of this is that they go further than just wanting to legalize it. They say that they want to empower people of color who are incarcerated for nonviolent drug offenses at a stunning rate. What this means, I don't know. Enrich and empower them, that doesn't seem like anything. Like, it would be a good step to say we're also going to try to get these people, get their sentence reduced or free them when they're arrested and put in jail for months for having an eighth of marijuana. Um, so they're being a little bit vague about when they're going to legalize it and how and what they're going to do to free these or to help people of color that are disproportionately targeted. But this is in the grand scheme of things, this seems like good news. What do you think, Nan?
Yeah, it is good news, but it is dubious whether they'll follow through. It is wishy-washy at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is quite ridiculous how it's taken us this long to even get to this point. Like we even had a debate on having medical marijuana for how
Yeah.
many years? Like because you can literally prescribe opioids, but you can't
Yeah.
prescribe weed. That's
It's crazy.
like, and they're not even against drugs. They're not even principled on this issue because if you took
Mm-mm.
a principled issue, it's like, oh, I don't like drugs. Well, I would disagree with you, but then you would have to say all drugs,
Yeah.
alcohol, medication. So, but if
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I mean, I like alcohol, then why wouldn't you like things that are less harmful than alcohol? So
Yeah.
it's
Because of
not
course.
principled in any form whatsoever. So it's good that they are starting this process. Whether they'll go through for it, go through with it, we don't know.
Let's just hope. But yeah, I agree. Like, alcohol legal, and drinking a lot of alcohol and driving is something that people do all the time. It gets themselves killed. It kills other people. Weed, much less detrimental to the health and much less dangerous in that aspect. But it might not even be legal until the end of the year. Kind of crazy, kind of outdated. But I digress. Let's move on.
All right. So on the stimulus check issue, article from CBS. What's happening now is they passed a budget resolution to allocate the spending for the $1.9 trillion stimulus bill, which includes 1,400 stimulus dollar checks. But tis not a done deal. And tis not a done deal because you got Joe Manchin and my pension going like, no, people who make over $50,000 a year are not eligible. So the proposed cutoff before was $75,000 for singles, um, diminishing up to $100,000, and then for couples $150,000. But now he's saying 50,000, diminishing up to 75,000, which is completely silly because you really think someone making $51,000 a year shouldn't be eligible for a $1,400 check, less than $2,000 at this point. That's not even up on the table anymore. 2,000 completely gone. And he's saying that they shouldn't be eligible for the full amount of this shitty bill. That's completely crazy, especially at this time. What do you think about
Yeah.
that, Connor?
I mean, I think the absurdity is like it's been out in the open for months now because, as we've known, other countries nationalized wages and let people stay home in quarantine to contain the virus and to keep people financially stable. In the US, what we've passed one $1,200 or and then we did another $600 one where it was like a one-time thing.
That didn't
And
even
now,
apply to a lot of people.
yeah, exactly. And now it's just this other thing where like some people will get some money, which was less than we promised months ago. And it's just ridiculous because, there's so many people are out of work. Like 50% of people are food insecure. It's like people can't pay their rent, they can't pay for anything. And the people that are supposed to represent us are like, maybe we'll give some of you a little over $1,000 at some point one time. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So So it's almost been and like by the time they pass the actual deal and it actually gets into the hands of the people, will pretty much be a year since we got the $1,200. So even if you were eligible for every single stimulus that's up to this point, you would only be getting what, like $3,200? That's like less than $300 a month. Who's
Yeah.
living on that shit? And we're not saying
Nobody.
that you have to subsidize all living costs of people. I mean, that would be nice, but I mean, come on, we live in the United States. But like 200 something dollars a month. Are you crazy? Nowhere in the United States could you live on that amount. Could you
Mm,
even like do any of your basic utilities or rent or anything at that amount? It's
nope.
completely crazy that not only are $2,000 out of the negotiating room and it's now $1,400, but now we're negotiating down the cutoff. Completely crazy.
And the argument against it is what? The deficit? Bro, Republicans have their mouth shut when Republican presidents screw up the deficit. When the Trump tax cut bill screws up the deficit and adds a bunch to it. When they vote on the CARES Act, they don't care about the deficit. When they increase the defense budget, hundreds of billions of dollars, they don't talk about the deficit. But now it's like, oh, let's actually give people that are struggling a little bit of money. And they're like, oh, we can't because the deficit, it'll add to the deficit. It's ridiculous. It's
Nope,
incredible.
it's just a talking point to convince idiots
Yep. And they are
that
convinced.
that support a completely unrigorous view of the situation.
Nice.
Yeah. Not even not even money from themselves, their family. Like maybe they think that this is unselfish, but it is very selfish too.
Yes.
It is very selfish to say that you don't want this deal because it's not just about your bottom line. It's about 80-90% of Americans, not the top 1% here, is who we're really helping. So, yep, it's crazy. Propaganda works. It's the way America works.
The way America.
It's the way America. Welcome to America. Have a great
America.
American life. See ya.